Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon and welcome to another deck profile. If you're liking this sort of content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. Now, you might be looking at this list and going, Josh, we did Fenrir Lugomon last week, why are we doing this again? We're not. We are doing Seekers today. This is the combination of good old Code Cracker, Fang, and Hacker Judge, otherwise known as AG and Leon. This is the deck that kind of combines the two. We had a request to kind of take a look at the Seekers deck as it is, with kind of a minimal amount of kind of the classic Fenrir Lugomon stuff. So I decided to test with it, and you know what? It's actually pretty fun. I really like it. It's really good fun. We've put in a couple of tiny nods to the old one, though I have tested without them as well. But I thought it'd be interesting to include them just for sake of variety. But this is my list, and let's get into it. So first, starting with the egg, we of course go with the BT20 Digimon. Now I remember originally when I was looking at this, because I was looking at this from the kind of the perspective of a Pulsemon player, I was thinking to myself, this is stupid. This is dumb. We get our mind link at the beginning of the turn. Why would this be useful? The reason it's useful is because you can trigger it at the same time as your end of turns for your Tamers when they're in the stack. So you can pop your Tamer back out and then use this to actually pop them back in to then make your effects go off again. So you've got quite a few different effects in this deck where essentially it'd be in all turns. If a Tamer goes into your stack, you can then do something. And these range in a myriad of different things. You can stop when Digivolving effects going off. You can suspend stuff. You can play stuff out. You know, there's quite a few different things you can do. So this egg helps you with facilitating that. It is kind of risky because obviously if your stack is kind of vulnerable to, you know, a case of deletion, then you know, you could lose your Tamer as well. But we have got ways of getting around stuff like that. You know, we have got Barrier, for example, to give us battle protection, and we've got Scapegoat on one of our Megas to kind of help with that as well. But just obviously bear that in mind. Use it wisely. So if you can use it as something to kind of play around your opponent or really do more mischief to them than you, then absolutely go for it. Plonk your Tamer back under and do your effects again. But if you're in a riskier position where you know your Digimon is a little bit more risk of you know, being taken out, then you know, don't worry about the end of turn. But it's really cool in terms of that general kind of use. Next, let's go on to our rookies. We'll first start with the non-seeker that we put in to kind of fill the numbers, which is 2 copies of the BT17 Pulsemon. One of our kind of main subscribers, I always forget your name. It begins with an R. I'm really sorry. It's like Raikara. I'll pop it up on screen. I'll find it. I'm so sorry. I'm the worst with names. But they rather. I don't know if they're a he or a she. That's not very PC, is it? Anyways, they basically said that you know, this Pulsemon is one of the best rookies in the game, and you know what? I actually kind of agree. It's kind of ironic that it is one of the best rookies in the game when Pulsemon itself is kind of fairly middling in terms of meta relevancy. But it's a great rookie. It just pushes out. You put a Leon underneath it, and both of our Tamers are classed as Leon. And then you either gain a memory for doing that, or you recovery +1, depending on if you've got 3 or more security, or 2 or fewer, which is really, really cool. In the actual Pulsemon deck, where we're using the memory egg, that gets us 2 memory to start our turn off, which is really good. Only 1 memory in this, because obviously we're using the other BBmon, but still really helpful, especially when it comes to kind of putting a Tamer underneath our stack. Then our other rookies, so going to the full kind of Seeker stuff this time, we've of course got the Pulsemon. When this Digimon would Digivolve into a Digimon card with Pulsemon in its text, or the Seeker's trait, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. Everything is a Seeker's in trait, so that basically just reduces everything. And then it has the all turns inheritable effect of when this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, you gain a memory, which is pretty handy. Then our other rookie is, of course, Lugomon. This is our Searcher. Reveals top 3, adds a card with the SSC or Seeker's trait and 1 AG among them to hand, and return the rest to the bottom. Now, of course, the one thing there is obviously it adds an AG, and this Tamer, which is our more important one, is AG. Obviously this is not, so it will whiff on this one. But the fact is, you can't play a purple Fenrir Lugomon, a purple Lugomon on top of this BBmon. You can't do it apart from this one, because this one can Digivolve on top of a Seeker's, you know, Digi-egg. So you kind of have to go the Pulsemon route. You could go maybe Ukomon, if you wanted to go for like a purple egg, but then your Pulsemon's going to cost 1 on top of that, as well as the Ukomon and stuff like that. So it just saves you a lot of you know, fuss. So yeah, you might whiff on one of your Tamers, but it's kind of the backup Tamer anyway. It's not that big an issue, and you're searching everything else in the deck, so you know it works really well. Then going into our level 4s, obviously you'll notice that we've gone as pure Seekers on this as possible. So you might be thinking, oh, ratios are going to be kind of down on this, and to be fair, sometimes they can be. But trying to find a level 4 that can, you know, evolve on all of this, kind of tricky. You know, you could maybe go something that's like purple yellow maybe, or you know, or yellow red, you know, something like that. I don't know, maybe slap Geogreymon in this BT13 one. Could play both of these out from security. Maybe that could work. But you know, that's going to whiff all the time. It's a one-off, blah blah blah. You know, so I just found it was easier to stay more thematic and just stick with the 8. Plus, we have got ways of kind of recurring stuff from the trash and playing stuff back out again. So if we end up trashing our level 4s, it's not that big of a deal because we can get them back, and we can you know, play them out essentially in other ways. So it's not too bad. But going into the actual level 4s, of course, we've got the Bulkmon. If you have 3 or more security cards, you may add your top security to the hand. Then if you have 2 or fewer security cards, recovery +1. Then it has the same inheritable as the Pulsemon. That first effect is great. I mean, gives you another place to search from. It does what BT1 TK does, but on a Digimon. And then on top of that, depending on the amount of security you've got, you recover 1 as well, so you're not kind of losing out on that security. So really, really good. Then we've also got the Lugarmon, which this one is one of the cards that we can use to kind of recur stuff. So by trashing 1 card in your hand, you may return 1 card with the SSE or Seeker's trait from your trash to the hand, and then this Digimon gets 2000 DP. So as the inheritable, which is also the inheritable of the Lugarmon. So yeah, this one can be used just to grab stuff from trash, you know, fill our trash with other stuff for like more, you know, targets for other effects. And yeah, just really, really great. Then going into our level 5, so this is kind of more ordinary ratios now. We've got the Boutmon, has Fortitude, so if it were to be deleted, then it is going to be able to come back. So then got an all turns effect, and when Tamer cards are placed in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, one of your opponent's Digimon can't activate when Digivolving effects until the end of their turn. So that does stop aces for the most part. The only aces that doesn't stop is Blast DNAs, because DNAs count as a new Digimon, so that effect would no longer be in play. But any other ace, whether it be your Zudamons, or your Jessamon GX, or anything like that really, it's going to stop those in their tracks, which is pretty good. Just obviously don't misplay that effect against Examon or Omnimon or something like that, because they will just DNA and ignore you. Then it's also got a great inheritable. When this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, trash their top security stack. So not bad at all. Then we've got the Solugamon. On play when Digivolving, trash 1 card in your hand for the turn. One of your Digimon gets raid and gets 3000 DP, so you can get pretty big with this boy, especially if you've got the right inheritables from your Lugamon and Lugarmon. Sorry, Lugamon, Lugar. You know, so with them both underneath, you can get up to 11, 14k, which is not bad at all. Then all turns, when Tamer cards are placed in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less. So that is pretty darn nice. And then the inheritable basically gives your SSC or Seeker's trait Digimon a kind of a delicate plan kind of effect. So you don't activate the security effects on options. You still activate security effects of Digimon. So if you were to hit into, say, for example, Security Magnamon, for example, you're still going to get de-Digivolved by him. But any options will just fizzle out completely, which is, you know, not bad at all. Then going into our level 6s, we've got 4 of the Kazuchimon from BT20, so has Fortitude again, just like the Boutmon does. When Digivolving effects suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, then one of their Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. All turns effect. When Tamer cards are placed in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, you activate one of this Digimon's when Digivolving effects, then one of your Digimon may attack your opponent's Digimon. So that basically means you can activate to when Digivolving effect twice, maybe even 3 times in one turn, depending on what you're doing, because you can Digivolve into it, do the suspend, one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, do that. Then, because you've played out, you can use your code Crackerfang to go underneath, trigger the all turns, do the when Digivolving effect, and then attack with it. And it's one of your Digimon, so it doesn't have to be the Kazuchimon itself that actually does the attack. Then end of turn, BBmon, use your all turns effect to unmind link your Tamer, then use the BBmon to put that Tamer back in, so you can then all turns suspend again, attack again. So you can do quite a few different things with this card, and it's why I've got it as the 4 because it's just the more kind of stunning card. It's the more kind of controlling card, I guess. of our level 6s, and just great card. Also has a great inheritable of when your security stack is removed from, if this Digimon has Fenrir on its name, recovery +1. So obviously we're wanting to go into our Takumi Kazuchi, which does have Fenrir on its name, and just gives you that recovery when you're then trashing underneath it. Also, in a really funny situation where your Fenrir Lugumon Takumi Kazuchi got de-digivolved, that inheritable still works on a Fenrir Lugumon, because the level doesn't matter. So if you've been de-digivolved to a Fenrir Lugumon, you still get that recovery, which is quite funny. Wording, but absolutely great. Then we'll go into the other Seekers level 6 first, which is the BT20 Fenrir Lugumon. Has Scapegoat, so it can survive deletion by deleting one of the other Digimon on board. When digivolving, you may play one level 4 or lower SOC or Seekers trait Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. And then all sides effect, when Tamer cards are placed in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, activate one of this Digimon's when digivolving effects, then one of your Digimon may attack a player. So just like with the Kazuchimon, you can activate that when digivolving effect multiple times a turn, up to 3, maybe even more, I don't know. No, I think it would be 3 is the max, but yeah, really cool effect. Just swarms the board a bit more, and gives you lots of lovely alliance targets, because we do have alliance in this deck. Then also has the inheritable effect of when any of your opponent's Digimon are deleted, if this Digimon has Fenrir in its name, trash your opponent's top security. So that is great in of itself. Then we've also gone for the one copy of the newly banned, or restricted rather, BT17 Fenrir Lugumon. I wanted to try and do this just to kind of see if we can facilitate that combo more. The only issue with it, of course, is that it can only digivolve on the Solo Lugumon. So I've been trying it out. Honestly, though, if you want my honest opinion, I kind of preferred it when I had 4 of these, and I just did away with this one. That to me works better than shoehorning this in. It is fun to do. You can still do it, but I honestly prefer just the Seekers, consistency really. But I thought I'd leave the profile as it is this way, just to show that you can use this, and it is quite fun to do it. I find, because it's now a one-of, and it's because this is a build that's not catered around that sort of style of gameplay, it doesn't really matter as much in this deck. So honestly, I would probably just go for 4 of this guy instead, but this guy is pretty fun still, so definitely try him out in this list. Then going into the Takumi Kazuchis, we've got 2 of the Ace. So I find it sometimes quite handy for this guy just to hard play him sometimes, because you can still get all of his effects off, even if you don't actually DNA Digivolve, or if you don't Digivolve at all. Because essentially, you'll on play when Digivolving, 2 of your opponent's Digimon get minus 10,000 DP for the turn. Then if a Tamer card is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's 10,000 DP or lower Digimon. Well, whether you're Digivolving or you're hard playing it, this will trigger, so you can put this underneath before you trigger that on play, and then you get the full effect of it. So you can make sure just make sure with your sequencing that if you're in that situation where you're hard playing this, or if you're Digivolving on top of it, or whatever, just make sure you'll get your Tamer under there first to get the full effect, because that effect is pretty darn good. Then it's when attacking effect is not once per turn, but we don't really have any unsuspending shenanigans in this list. By trashing your top security card, activate one of those Digimons when Digivolving effects. So you just get to do that effect again. So that's minus 20 on 2 Digimon and deleting a 10,000 DP or less. It's just great card. And then obviously we had to do this list with 1 copy of the Takumi Kazuchi from BT17. I did include this even in the lists where I was just doing the Seeker stuff, because he can be quite good, just because A, he doesn't have any kind of overflow, and B, if you do get him in the trash and you manage to get the combo, obviously ideally you'd want to do the combo with this, because that gets you your Kazuchi, but you can also do that combo with this, because essentially the way that combo works, oh no, it's only over level 6, isn't it? Yeah, so the combo doesn't work with this one. It only works with this. So, but it's still nice to hard Digivolve into it, kind of have that kind of thing going. Honestly though, if you wanted to go for the more kind of full Seekers route, get rid of this and go for this as I'm kind of suggesting, then you could also get rid of this and just go for a 3rd Takumi Kazuchi, or another consistency tool, or another piece of removal, whatever really. I just wanted to keep this in here because it's kind of dead in the water right now without that combo, which I guess is the point of a ban list really. But I wanted to make sure I'm still using those copies, just for fun, But he does a lot as well, so has that effect to when one of your level 6 Digimon Pulse when its text is played, 2 of your Digimon may digivolve into this card. So bearing in mind that's also, you don't necessarily have to have this effect live. So what you can do is you can have your Kazuchimon out and then just hard play this one to then DNA into this one. So you don't even necessarily have to digivolve into this one to get that full effect. Because this, funny enough, does have Pulsemon in its text. It says it right here. Says, when one of your Digimon or Tamers that have the SOC trait or Pulsemon in the text is played, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 10,000 DP or less, which I realised I did not cover earlier. So there you go, there's that effect as well. But because it has Pulsemon in its text by virtue of having Pulsemon in its text, it therefore triggers this because it has Pulsemon in its text. I used to do that all the time in my Takumi Kazuchi Pulsemon build, where it was more the Pulsemon stuff, and then we put this in as a fun combo. You know, so that does just work. So if you can just be in a situation where you hard play this, that trash DNA Digivolution will go off. Then the when digivolving effect of this one is one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 16,000 DP for the turn, and if DNA digivolving, you may set the memory to 3 on your opponent's side. Then if a Tamer card is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, gain 1 memory and recovery +1. And why is that important? That's because of the inheritable of this one. While this Digimon has Fenrir in its name, the turn end condition is the opponent having 3 or more memory. So you just reset the turn to yourself, change how the game is working. It's why this one did get hit and why it's now on the restricted list. You know, but like I say, you can completely do away with this combo. This is not necessary. I just put it in there because we can. And honestly, for consistency's sake, you probably want to go more the Seeker stuff anyway. So probably 4 of this, 3 of this maybe, or other kind of consistency or utility tools. Then going into the Tamers, we've got the Hacker Judge. This is our backup Tamer because our other one is way better. He's a memory setter, which the other one doesn't do, to be fair. And it mind links with something with Pulsemon in its text. So, or is it Pulsemon in there? Yeah, with one of your Digimon Pulsemon in its text. So that means you can kind of go in with this one. Obviously, it's got Pulsemon. This one's got Pulsemon in its text because of the Digivolution condition. This one does too. This one does, in fact, because of the fact that, you know, you've got Pulsemon in its text here. You wouldn't want to because you only get the full effect of this Digimon with AG underneath it, not with Hacker Judge. But, you know, it's still there. You know, he can mind link with a fair bit, and then he's to kind of, for your troubles, gives you blocker and barrier underneath your Digimon. So having something that can give blocker, because the other Tamer also doesn't give blocker, is quite handy. So he's not bad at all, but he's just not as good as this Tamer. This Tamer is so good. I've talked about this Tamer in 3 different lists because we did a Pulsemon list just before the ban list. We did the Fenrir one last week, and now we're doing Seekers this week. You know, and this is fantastic, and all 3 of those lists does a great job. Gives you a memory at the start of the turn if they've got a Digimon in play. Then you get to, essentially, this one doesn't have mind link, so you can't just kind of go, okay, I mind link. But what it does have is when any of your Digimon are played or digivolve, you may mind link with one of your Digimon, with Pulsemon in its text, SOC or Seekers. So essentially, you can still kind of choose when you're doing it, and you could definitely choose where to put it. It's not a case of going, okay, my Tamer goes underneath now. And that's that. And then for your troubles, it gives you a combination of the things that AG and Leon both give. So it gives Alliance, Piercing, and Barrier. And that Alliance is so good, especially when underneath the Fenrir Lugumon here, because we just play out stuff, then we swing, Alliance, you know, it's just so good. It's so good. You know, I love this Tamer. Really, really good. Good shout. Then into our more utility cards, we've got the Analog Youth in as our kind of last Tamer. This is in here more to obviously search stuff, but also get stuff in the trash, like our Takumi Kazuchi, or indeed anything that we might want to search later, you know, that sort of thing. Because the Lugumon, for example, you know, if we search out the Lugumon with Analog Youth, we can trash something else to then return it to the hand later with this. So that works pretty well. And then obviously if any of our level 6s, you know, become deceased, then we can use this to hatch a new egg and then also gain a memory, so not bad. Then we have got Heaven's Judgment in here. We've got a lot of different colours. We've got yellow, green, purple, red. So, and all of these are kind of 2-colour Digimon. So that means we're going to be, you know, using this, activating this for 5 activations. So 6 for the initial, 6 for yellow, 6 for green, 6 for purple, 6 for red. So that is minus 30k on whatever you want, pretty much. You can spread that across the board. You can use it all on one Digimon if you wanted. I don't know why you would, but you could. You know, and also it has the great security effect of minus 12, you know, for the turn. So that's not bad at all. You could definitely bump this up to 2 in a world where you decided to take out this combo. But at the moment, I've got it at 1. You also could put in something like Crimson Blaze. That's not a bad shout as well. We've got enough red in this, so, you know, why not? Then we've got Amber Memory Boost. You could also bump this up. I've currently got it at 2. You could bump this up to 3 to kind of get a bit more searching, but this searches every Digimon in the deck because it searches yellow or purple. And what colours are our Digimon? They're either yellow or they're purple. Enough said. Gives us 2 memory as well, so not bad. Then we've also got the Purple Scramble. Now, obviously the issue with the Purple Scramble is it only works with the Lugamon. It does not work with these. So you could change this for Yellow Scramble instead, or Green Scramble. But the reason I think the purple one is the better one is, in general, it helps us kind of go into these purple boys a little bit cheaper. I mean, you could use the yellow one instead, actually. You could definitely use the yellow one instead. I think the main reason I like to use this is because this actually has the on-play, whereas these don't. So you can actually get a search off with this, whereas you could use this to get the start and main phase effect of this to go off. So yellow scramble could be good for that. But this one's kind of not useless, but, you know, it doesn't really do too much when it's just kind of played out. You want it to be in a position where you can move it out of the breeding area so it can actually attack and stuff. Yeah, you could interchange Purple Scramble with either yellow with the Yellow Scramble potentially. You know, but for me, I've been finding Purple Scramble works quite well. But you could definitely go Yellow Scramble instead. That's you know, this is interchangeable with Yellow Scramble. Hell, I've got 2 copies of this in here. Why not go 1 Yellow Scramble and 1 Purple Scramble? There's something you could do. Some other things you could possibly put in this as well. I didn't have the virtue of actually kind of putting up tech cards on a separate screen before recording. That was silly of me. But you could put stuff like cooling from darkness in this. That would be pretty good. You could also try some of the other SOC or Pulsemon stuff in it, just to kind of give those a go. But I think in general you want to keep this as Seekers kind of main, you know, as Seekers filled as possible. If you wanted to take out the combo with the Fenrir Lugamon and the Takumi Kazuchi, you could take out Analog Youth maybe for the other Hacker Judge, or for 2 more copies of this one, or for maybe your AGs. You could also use AGs as well. You know, so there's lots of different ways you can play with this deck, and it does a lot of really silly shenanigans that people are just not ready for. You know, they're not ready for you to activate your Kazuchimon, you know, when Digivolving effects 2 to 3 times in one turn, or with this Fenrir Lugamon. They're sometimes not ready for the ace, or even, like I say, just this being hard played, because you can then just tuck this under to get the effects of it. So, you know, that is pretty darn cool. It's a really fun list. Will it kind of break the meta as much as pure Fenrir Lugamon did? Probably not. It is quite piece dependent, and obviously it needs a few more Seekers names, especially like the level 4 slots and the rookie slots. But in general, I really like it, and it's really good fun. But let me know what you guys think about it in the list down in the comments below. If you really like it, if you think it's dog shit, whatever you think, you know, let me know. I want to know just as much from you guys as you guys are looking to know stuff from me. So let me know in the comments below what you think, and, you know, whether or not you guys are looking to play Seekers. Really fun list, so I definitely recommend it myself. Anyways, like, subscribe, and ding that notification bell, and we'll see you again on the next video. But until then, keep it digital.